Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today I want to showcase the next build that I'm working on, and it is a Poison Penance brand Pathfinder. But since I always like to try out different versions of builds, because Poison Penance brand Transcendence was my last build of the league from last league, and this time around we do something different, and this is basically the damage shifting kind of like defensive layer. What am I talking about? 100% physical damage converted into fire damage, 100% cold and lightning damage turned into fire damage. So the only thing that we actually need, we don't care about armor, we only care about fire resistance, getting this to 90, so we have 90% physical damage mitigation, fire, cold and lightning, as well as like capped chaos resistance. With spell suppression and those kind of things, this should become a very tanky character. It is basically, I would say, 90% defense at this point. We have like a Defiance of Destiny. We have like, you know, spell suppression like Progenesis, max fire resistance, and so on and so forth. This is like the first day we just leveled this character up. It's currently level 90, doing some experience shrine strat. I think the only damage items that I have is an original sin and yeah, basically a grave crafted physical and all spells scepter with some dot multi. That is basically our damage scaling. The rest, Cloak of Defiance, Dawnbreaker, Defiance, the Mage Blood setup, Progenesis, and so on and so forth are all about the defensive layers. As I say again, this is on the very early stages, so that means we're missing like a bunch of stuff, but I still want to talk about the goals of the build, how should this work together, a quick little map showcase, and yeah, basically, I still have to do a couple of challenges. It's not that many. I think it's like Heist and some Remorse Apex, which is like T7 modifiers from the League mechanic. So I'm probably going to do this today or tomorrow or something, then we should be done with this one. And then I want to try to do some T17 back to basics max juice maps and see if this character is tanky enough, because for example the Transcendence Arc character was like a lot more tanky than I expected. It was still not like an Omega tank, but way tankier than your average build. Good. Playstyle wise, it is a brand character that has Poison Prolife. We're currently running, I think, let me see, like a 13 million DPS, but I think with the right gearing we should be able to get actually dot capped while maintaining like insane amounts of defensive layers. But yeah, brand playstyle, nothing too much to talk about. You just put down your brand, and once it like kills stuff, we have the poison proliferation going off. There's like a pretty big Soul Eater mob. He will most likely die. I think yesterday it was like okay-ish to map with this character, but you know, when you invest so heavily into defense, then poison prolif, the what do you say? The ramp up of poison takes a little bit of time, so the poison prolifes didn't felt too good, but now it's like, you know, when an enemy dies, the poisons gets proliferated thanks to Pathfinder, and the more damage you have, the better this actually feels. And I hope I'm getting to a point where I just put down a brand and just annihilate the entire screen thanks to the poison. And since it's a poison build, I should be able to reach dot cap and take on all the Ubers and stuff while having like a super lazy brand playstyle while being Omega Giga tanky. Because let's talk a little bit more about the defensive layers. So what does it actually do if you're shifting all the incoming damage into one element? Well, basically, for example, if you shift all your cold damage into fire damage, you're basically immune to cold penetration because you're never basically taking any cold damage anymore, right? The same is with like lightning and stuff like that. Another good thing with the physical aspect is, for example, you have armor, and armor basically mitigates the incoming physical damage, but it's also based on the hit. That means if you have like in the tool, like in your details, like in your character sheet, if it says like, hey, you have 90% physical damage mitigation, this is basically a lie, because it is always based on how hard do you get hit, and armor works the way the higher the hit, the less mitigation you're gonna get. So you maybe have like a 90% physical damage mitigation against a hit against like 1,000 physical damage or something, but if you get like 100,000 physical damage hit, then you're probably gonna mitigate this by, I don't know, like 60% or something like that, right? There are ways to get flat physical damage mitigation that is not armor based, for example endurance charges. But with the damage shifting that I'm doing here, I'm having like 100% of the incoming physical damage converted into fire damage, and then running 90% fire res means this is a flat physical damage mitigation of 90%, which is like way better than any kind of like armor will ever get you. So even like, you know, an armor stacker probably would have that with like 6-7 million armor. That would probably get like 90% physical damage mitigation against like very big hits as well, right? But, you know, armor stackers insanely expensive, but on the other hand, this build isn't cheap either because it runs an original sin. But we're gonna talk about the damaging aspect, yeah, after the map showcase. So yeah, good thing about this is also you don't have to run any kind of armor because, as I said, we convert, we shift all the damage, so we don't need armor. Armor is completely useless. But talking about actually the damage aspect, there is one quite big problem. This is a Sublime Vision setup, and I think the map should be done. There's one more breach. So the Sublime Vision setup. Basically, a Sublime Vision is a jewel that like boosts and gives your a specific aura what you're running, basically on the Sublime Vision, special stats, but you cannot use other auras. And this basically is a bit awkward when you play something like this, which is Purity of Fire Sublime Vision, which boosts your like your Purity of Fire, but you cannot use any other auras. And Purity of Fire is just a resistance aura, so there is no malevolence, there is no hatred, there is no you know, anything that would actually scale our damage. So basically this one over here. But it says 30% of cold and lightning damage taken is fire damage while affected by Purity of Fire. And that's the reason why it is so hard to actually scale a good amount of damage running this Purity of Fire Sublime Vision. And that's why I picked Penance brand. Because Penance brand, believe it or not, I think is still like the strongest or most disgusting skill in the game. Even though it got nerfed by like 65% or something. So, how do we achieve all of that? Well, let's talk about the 100% physical damage taken as fire damage, or better said, 101%, because when you have 100%, you basically cannot get physical damage anymore, and that also means that you're immune to bleed, because only physical damage can cause bleeding. Problem is, if you have exactly 100%, you can still get bleeding, so you need 101%. It's probably something in the back end with the coding and stuff, with the rounding and stuff. So you need 101%. Problem is, the higher you go over 100, so if you have like 150% physical damage taken as fire damage, you're actually taking 50% more damage, right? So keep it at 101%, and you should be immune to bleeding and not get it like too crazy with the incoming damage, right? So how do we get this? And let's open the calculator here. We're basically getting 40% of physical damage from the Cloak of Flame, which is a purely defensive aspect. This chest doesn't do anything for me because I'm way over fire res capped. I'm not an ignite build. The reflect doesn't do shit, so this is just for the stat physical damage taken as fire damage, similar to the lightning coil. But there's one big thing here, right? There is the modifier physical damage from hits taken as fire damage, and there is the modifier like here, physical damage taken as fire damage. So taken from hits versus taking. Taking means all dots as well, damage over time. From hits is only if you get actually hit, so a degen will not get converted. And this is like the very interesting thing. There is like very few sources of physical damage over times, maybe like the saw blades or something in a T70 map. I'm not sure about that, need to test that. But physical from hits, and everything else we need to get not from hits, so it also counts a degen, because there is no point when I run like minus or at least like 30 lightning res and there's like a mana siphon and will instantly kill me because I only have 30 res, right? It's a bad thing. So 40% from our armor, then we get 20% physical damage taken as fire damage from our Dawnbreaker, makes it 60%. Then we have a Watcher's Eye with the Purity of Fire mod with 10% physical damage taken from hits, makes it 70%. Then I have here a Lethal Pride with 3 modifiers of physical damage taken from hits as fire damage, 5 over here, 5 over here, and 5 over here. So plus 15 is 85. And then we have like a helmet. This is like poorly put together, just what I had in stash. This has also like 16% physical damage taken as fire damage, so we get exactly, we had 85 plus God damn it. With 85, wait, CC 85 plus 16. So this gets us to 101 physical damage taken as fire damage. It is important to note to not take anything that is physical damage taken as lightning or as cold, because based on my knowledge, you can only convert the incoming damage only once, the outgoing damage obviously multiple times with physical to lightning conversion, lightning to cold, cold to fire, fire to chaos, right? With the incoming damage, it only works once, so we can only choose between physical as fire, physical as chaos, physical as something. Physical as fire is your best source because you have 90% maximum resistance. Physical as chaos is the second best because you still have 75% resistance. Physical as lightning or cold is not good, okay? Because if you only have if you have minus cold res and you have sources like a Taste of Fate with physical damage taken as cold damage, you're gonna die a very poor death, right? So 100% or 101% physical damage taken from hits as fire damage, and we are good against all of that. Next part is the cold and lightning part. So Dawnbreaker gives us 20% cold damage taken as fire, 20% lightning damage taken as fire. Please note, it's damage taken as, and not damage taken from hits as, okay? So this also counts against degens. So we have 20% cold lightning as fire. Then we have the Sublime Vision that has also 30% of cold and lightning damage taken as fire damage, so we had 50%. And then with the keystone here from the Lethal Pride, Rakiata gives us Tempered by War, which says 50% cold and lightning damage taken as fire damage. So now we have 101% physical damage taken as fire, 100% cold and lightning damage taken as fire. So the only two damage sources that we can currently get is fire and chaos, while we are running 90% maximum fire resistance and 75 chaos resistance. Next thing here is the Defiance of Destiny. This is basically not a one-shot protection, but it serves as a recovery tool, let's say it like that. 42% of missing unreserved life before hit by an enemy. So if I have like 5k life and I'm currently on 2,000 life, for example, I have 3k life missing, and 42% of that missing life I will basically restore before I get any hit, right? So this will sustain me over the fight, and to have like some better one-shot protection, we're running the Progenesis. When hit during effect, 25% of life loss from damage taken occurs over 4 seconds instead. That means that I only get like 75% of the actual hit, and then I have like a dot on me for the remaining 25%, right? And we counteract that with damage taken recoup. So if you have like the same amount of recoup as your Progenesis has effect, basically, I think on this one I need 25% recoup over 4 seconds, and I should completely offset the downside of the Progenesis. If you have more, then you're basically just sustaining more, but you want to have at least 25%. I think with Petrified Blood it would be 31% breakpoint or something, to not worry too much about the degenning aspect. On top of that, let's talk about the offensive aspect, because this is like a lot harder to do. So we are running here Original Sin, and there is a it is a must-have item, I would say, because otherwise you would just halve your DPS no matter what you do in this Penance Brand setup. Reason for that is we have here Penance Brand of Dissipation. That is a skill, a physical skill that has a built-in 50% damage to lightning conversion. Problem is, only physical and chaos damage can cause poison, not lightning damage. So if you just use Penance Brand alone, you're basically halving your damage, because only 50% of your skill damage is physical and can cause poisons, right? There would be the option to use the Voltaxi Griffbow, which has lightning damage can poison, but that would disable the use case of Dawnbreaker, and therefore our defensive setup with Sublime Vision would not work anymore, because we would not have 100% of cold lightning damage taken as fire damage, so that is not really an option. Another thing would be Volkur's Guidance Gloves, that also can have the modifier with lightning damage can poison, but it has 50% reduced poison duration, which basically halves our DPS. It's not an ignite build, we can stack as many poison as you want, so something like cast speed will also effectively boost our damage, but if we have only half the poison duration, we can only get half of the total poison stacks on an enemy, which just halves our damage. So I could use the gloves, have 100% of my damage can poison, but therefore only half poison duration. I could use Voltaxigrift, 100% of our damage could poison, but I cannot use a shield. If I don't use anything and just use Penance Brand as a standalone, there is still only 50% of my damage can basically poison. So however you do it, Original Sin just solves all of that with all elemental damage converted to chaos damage. So now we have 50% physical, and the 50% lightning damage will be converted into chaos, so it can also poison, right? And even better, if you are basically converting your remaining physical damage into lightning, I've done it here with my gloves here, with the physical damage converted to lightning damage and crafted. So we have 50% lightning conversion on our gloves, 50% from the skill gem, and then with the use case of Ellie Overload here on my Osculating Scepter, we're getting a big damage boost before it then gets converted into chaos, which then can poison. Yeah, I know it's a lot of things to say, a lot of things to do, and I'm really looking forward on how this is going to turn out. Is this going to be one of the tankiest, if not the tankiest character that I've played so far? Is it just going to be an interesting way to build a defensive layer, but it not like matches other versions? We're going to see all about that. I still need to craft a lot of things. I need to get a new ring, new boots, a new helmet. I need to like figure out the jewels that I need. I'm running here like a 12 passive large cluster jewel just to get like insane amounts of physical percent damage, attack, and cast speed for our poison, like stacks faster, especially since Penance Brand scales insanely well with cast speed. With some life chaos res here, I'm just like having some strength here to fix my stat requirements. And yeah, Eldritch Battery and obviously the Rune Binder for double brands. Need to level this up, need to like finish the gearing. Half of my gear is still empty when it comes to sockets, so yeah, looking forward to that. And if this build can survive the challenge of a back to basics T17 mega juice maps with like, I don't know, like 1500% critical strike multiplier maps and insane amounts of stuff. I'm looking forward to it. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.